I love the Word of God, and I just love the way certain things are said in the Bible. Today, we'll talk about two of them. One of them is this: God will light my candle. Don't you love that? God will light my candle. And then secondly, His gentleness has made me great. What do they mean? Find out on today's episode.
Welcome to Everyday Truth with Kurt Skelly. We believe the Bible is true and relevant to everyone, everywhere, every day. If today's conversation is a help to you, take a moment to leave a review or share it with a friend. Thanks for listening. Now, let's join Kurt for today's episode.
Hey friends, welcome back. We're still in Psalm 18. It's a long one, but it's a good one. Remember, I said this is one of the longest Psalms in the Psaltery, and many of the Psalms we've covered so far have been just kind of one day. One day, we're to the next Psalm, but I think we're in the fourth day now in Psalm 18, and we're going to cover a good swath today, and then next episode I think we'll finish. But I love some of the verses in this section, so listen in. Psalm 18, verse number 27, David just continues to talk about how marvelous God's deliverance is and how specifically God has worked in his life. Sometimes we talk about the Lord more in a detached way. Like, here's what God is, here's what God does. But David never did that. David found a way always to bring it into his own experience. That's what makes the Word of God powerful, is when we add the spice of our own experience to it, to say, I know that he lives. He lives, he lives. You ask me how I know he lives within my heart, the songwriter said. So yeah, we can talk about the proofs of the resurrection of Jesus, but a big proof ought to be the fact that he's real in your life. And that's the heart of David. So with that in mind, look at Psalm 18 and verse number 27, where David says, "For thou wilt save the afflicted people." God has a special love for and attention to those that are the underdog. And then it says here, but will bring down high looks. One thing we know, in fact, the first thing we know that God hates is a proud look. And before honor is humility. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, he will flee from you. Draw nigh to God, he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse ye hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves. The Bible talks about in 1 Peter chapter 5, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. And wow, humility is the antidote for pride, is it not? Look at verse number 28, and I love this. David continues to testify, this time very personally, and says, "For thou wilt light my candle." I don't know what it is about that verse, but I just love that. God lights my candle. Thou wilt light my candle, or my lamp, and the Lord my God will enlighten my darkness. So think about a couple things here. First of all, David is speaking about something God will do. So God, you're going to give me light. You're going to light my candle. And God, you're going to enlighten me in my darkness. So it may be that when David was writing the Psalm, there were still some murky things going on. There were still, I don't really know the way forward. I don't know how I'm going to go or where I'm going to go and what steps I need to take next. But one thing I do know is God will guide me. What did David learn about the Word of God? He learned that thy word is a lamp to my feet. It's a light to my path. See, David always looked at the Word of God as an illumination device, both for his daily choices, the lamp to my feet, and for his directional choices, the light to my path. And here, with confidence, David said, Lord, I know you're going to give me wisdom. I wonder what kind of confidence we have about praying for insight, about trusting God's direction. In all thy ways acknowledge him. He shall direct thy paths. So do you trust God today that as you come to him by faith, as you come to his word in humility and with a sincere desire to know his will and his way, that God will light your candle? That'd be a great way to pray today. Oh God, light my candle, that I might know the very steps to take in this will of yours for my life. Verse number 29, for by thee, so verse 28, future, thou wilt light my candle. Verse number 29, past, for by thee I have run through a troop, and by my God have I leaped over a wall. So David's talking about the strength, the direction, the stamina that God had already given him. So David kind of goes down memory lane a bit here and says, wow, Lord, I've faced some darkness before. I've faced some big obstacles before. I've faced some walls before. I faced unfair odds before. And yet, God, what did you do? You came through in marvelous ways. You gave me strength I didn't know I had. You gave me courage I didn't know what was there. So that God can light my candle for the future. You see how David's thinking here? Verse number 30, as for God, so all of this talking about what God has done and what God will do makes him think about the character of God himself. And David says, as for God, his way is perfect. The word of God is tried. That's a very practical statement. What David is saying is, I have obeyed the word of God and found it in every instance to be true. I have found it to be reliable. I have proven it in my life. So the way of God is perfect. Man, you'll not find a better thing than the will of God. When David looks back at following God, he says, I have no regrets. The word of God is tried, it's proven. Every time I've taken God at his word, he has never disappointed me. So the word of God is tried. He is a buckler. A buckler was a shield. He is a shield to all those that trust in him. Do you see where David zeroes in? He zeroes in on the concept of faith, that we trust him. And we have good reason to trust God. And how do we trust God? We trust God by believing his word. So David said, God, you're going to light my candle. Lord, you've given me great strength in the past. And Lord, I know that your way, I know that following you is perfect. I know that. I know that by experience. I've tried your word, and all your promises are true. And I'm going to continue to lean on you. I'm going to continue to trust you. That's what he's saying. Verse number 31, for who is God save the Lord? So who is the God? The Canaanites would say Baal. The Moabites would say Ashtaroth. The surrounding peoples would list their local God. And yet David says, who is God? The Lord, Jehovah. I know who God is. I know his identity. He is real in my life. For who is God save the Lord? Who is a rock? Who has true foundation? Who has true security? Who is a rock? Save our God. There's nobody like our God. There is no comparison. There is none other. Our God is solely the one that gives me security. He is solely the one who has introduced himself to me as the intimate, knowable God, Jehovah. Verse number 32, it is God that girdeth me with strength, like gird to put on, like putting on a garment. God puts upon me the garment of strength. He maketh my way perfect. God provides, God guides, God equips, God directs. David is just in this section where he said, here's what God's going to do. Why? Because I know what God has done, and so this is who my God is. So the experiences that David had with God helped him form an informed opinion about God. I think sometimes that's why we have an improper view of God, is because we have never put him to the test. We've never We've never obeyed his word when it didn't seem like it was going to work out, but we took the word of God to be what it is, the word of God, and obeyed him. It's as we try God and proven to be true that we learn about God. And David is simply giving his testimony of faith in these verses. He maketh, verse number 33, he maketh my feet like hinds' feet. A hind was like a deer, like a mountain goat. If you've ever been to Israel, I like to go to a place called En-Gedi. N-E-N or Ein, E-I-N, means spring in Hebrew. And Gedi means goat. So the spring of the goat, En-Gedi. That's where David hid from Saul. It's a place that's full of rock rabbits. The Bible calls them conies. We see them all the time. And ibex, or small little deer-like. They've got the horns. Look it up, ibex. And when we go there, we almost always see the ibex. And they're amazing because they live on the cliff. You ever seen a mountain goat? Man, they run up and down the cliff with the smallest little footholds. How do they do it? That's the way God has made them. And what David said is, God, you have made my feet like hinds' feet. You have given me the ability to be secure in the most insecure places. You have given me the special outfitting and equipping by which to protect me. And it was in that very place that God had protected David from Saul. God said, God, you are able. What a great metaphor. You've made my feet like hinds' feet. I will set thee on my high places. God uses some strange circumstances and places to protect his children. Verse number 34, real quickly. He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms. You know, God's training in my life is more important than their resources and their weapons. Oh, they might have a bow of steel, but I have the best teacher. I have my God. I'd rather have my God than your stuff, is what David is saying here. Thou hast given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand hath holden me up, and thy gentleness hath made me great. I love that little phrase. I'd love to preach a whole message just on that. Thy gentleness hath made me great. When David really stopped to think about, what has God done for me? And what is it about God and the way that God has worked in my life that has put me in this position of prominence, that has delivered me from Saul, that has seen the realization of my kingship? You know, to what can I attribute all of this greatness? It's the gentleness of God. I don't deserve it, but God has been gentle with me. He's lovingly, like a shepherd, gentle shepherd, lead on. We used to sing that old hymn, gentle. David always viewed God in the gentleness of shepherding. And Lord, it's been your guidance. It's been your provision. It's been your shady green pastures. It's been you when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. You have been my gentle God, and your gentleness is what has made me great. I love that little verse, don't you? Let's just quickly read two more for sake of time. Verse 36, thou hast enlarged my steps under me, that my feet did not slip. That really harkens back to, he made my feet like hinds' feet. God has given me sure footing. Verse number 37, I have pursued mine enemies and overtaken them. Neither did I turn again till they were consumed. Lord, you gave me great courage, great stamina. I have wounded them that they were not able to rise. They are fallen under my feet. God, you have given me the victory time and time again. I know it seems dark right now. You're going to light my candle. Lord, you've been gentle. You've been good. You've been faithful. You are God. There's nobody else. And I am going to trust you. That might be a good word for you today. God, light my candle. God, let me sense your gentleness. Oh God, thank you for being my God. May I trust you more. Hope that helps today. We'll jump into verse number 39. Next episode, I think we'll get done with the chapter. So join us. Thanks for your faithfulness, and we'll see you next time. God bless.